All right, cycle 1, week 12. We are halfway through the year, which is crazy. It's gone so fast, but here we are. So my name's Caitlin. I'm going to share with you what I did with my kiddos for this week. Everything that I talk about is linked on my blog post, which is in the description of this video. And I have the youngest, second to youngest group, Abecedarians and Apprentice kiddos, 5 to 7. So if you've been watching my videos, you know all this, but just in case you stumble upon one, I try to put that at the beginning. All right, so for this week, for new grammar, for timeline, we played Jump the River. So I took a long jump rope and I made it in like a skinny U shape in the floor. So that was the river. And we played the timeline song. And as we played the clip for this week, they would jump over the river. And then I would widen my jump rope to make it a little bit harder. And there we'd play it again and they would jump over and it was a little bit wider. And we widened it each time we listened to the timeline song so that it got progressively wider and harder to jump over. So I think they enjoyed that. It was kind of a fun thing to do with our timeline song. For math, which I actually forgot until the very end of the day, and one of the kids was like, we didn't do math. So we went back and did it. But anyway, so I use a song, it's to the tune of Sally the Camel that I sing for this one. So I sang that to them. And then I have these cards. These are from a bundle that I made and put in my Etsy shop that has all the math, memory work, visual things. And so they have magnets on the back. And so I gave them to the kids and then they put the equations in the correct order. Of course, most of my kids are non-readers. And so the moms, we helped them figure out if they had teaspoons or tablespoons, but they had fun putting them in order. I also have ones that are the 1 and the tablespoon, the 2 and the tablespoon are together. So I took both. We ended up using the ones that were individual because it worked out better with my number of kids. But anyway, so that's what we did for math. For history, we did hand motions using the Driven by Grace motions, which I use nearly every week. I have those linked. And then, so it was like 622. I can't remember what we did. 22, something like this. Islam founded. We had Muhammad. We had worshiping. Mecca. Holy City. Islam again. We had 1400s. Ottoman Turks, expanded, the Muslim Empire. Okay, and her video explains it better, which I have it linked. So we did that a couple times, and then we used our visual cards that I like and gave them to the kids, and they love to bring them up there. So depending on how many kids you have and how many cards there are for that week, sometimes there's 8 cards and I have 8 kids, and so everybody gets a card. This week there were only 7 cards, so just to share what I did, I had one kid volunteer to come up with me. And so I would whisper into their ear, like, okay, we're looking for N622. And so they would say that part. And then the kid that had that card would bring it up. And then we'd go to the next card, which was Islam was found in the Arabian Peninsula. So I'd whisper that to my helper kid and they would say it out loud to the class. So that's another way, or that's a way you can use the cards if there's not exactly enough for your kids. Is have one be the helper or have one line them up or something like that. So that's how I did that this week. For geography, we used my big pointer. So we have a big map on the whiteboard. And so I went up through the different cities and areas with them once, and I had them mark them on their little maps. And then I had them come up one by one and use the pointer to point to them. And the rest of the class, we would say them as the person that was helping pointed. For science, we did, again, the Driven by Grace hand motions. So we did photosynthesis, respiration, and transpiration. Did that a couple of times. And then I had them say it with silly voices. They love to do this. So we said it with our tongue sticking out. I think that's hilarious. We said it super fast. We said it like we were disgusted. And we said it like we were royalty. So that's how we went through those real quickly. For English, we are in our last 3 prepositions. We've been using the same song and group of hand motions for the whole semester for 11 weeks, I guess. So we finished that. That was really fun. And then for Latin, we used the jump rope again and we did limbo. So another mom and I held the jump rope and they limboed underneath it while we sang the Latin song. And then once it all gone through, we lowered it down again and we kept going until we had listened to the Latin song multiple times to get all of our repetitions in, and they had a fun time with the limbo. So that was fun. And that kind of was able to use the jump rope that I brought in for 2 different things this week. Okay, for hands-on science, that one is a pretty simple one this week, and our director had a bunch of little pieces of paper, like she had a bunch of papers with these little squares on them that had different pictures of animals from different types of the kingdoms. We classify them. We did ours up on the whiteboard, which you can see the instructions on that. But what I wanted to tell you, my tip there is if you have that, cut them out ahead of time and put them like in individual Ziploc baggies that are labeled with the correct ones. I don't know. I totally forgot to do that. So I got there this morning and I had plenty of time to cut them out, but I was kind of like frazzled because I was trying to get those cut out, but then I didn't have any way to sort them. So I just had them all laying on a table and it was fine. It was no big deal, but I was worried a kid was going to like walk past it and accidentally scatter them and I wouldn't know what went with what. So that's my tip, is to prep ahead of time, put them in Ziploc baggies, cut them out at home. But it was fine. And if you have older kids, you could cut them in class, but I had little ones. And so I wanted to do that ahead of time. Okay, for fine arts, we just do a tin whistle concert for week 12. So we just got our tin whistles out in class and reviewed, like played through the song 3 or 4 times before we went into a big room together with everybody and played in there. So we didn't do anything different, no games or special activities or anything like that. And then for review, we played a game called Hot Stew, and this was really fun. I found this in the Tutor group, which I will link to it so that you can check that out. But basically there's a pot. She actually has, or whoever made it actually has multiple different pot colors, but we just used one in class. And there's all these different cards that have ingredients on them: turkey, bell peppers, herbs. Some of them are silly. There's potatoes. There's like gummy bears and sprinkles, all kinds of weird stuff. So the way I did it with my kids is I would ask a review question and we would answer it together as a class. And then I would hold up, like I just grabbed 2 off the top and I'd hold it up to the first kid and I would say, okay, do you want to put steak or sprinkles in our soup? And so they would pick one and we'd lay it on top of, we were sitting in the floor in a circle and I just had this on the floor. We laid it there. You could do it like up on the whiteboard, but I didn't want to have to try to attach a million different things to the whiteboard. So we just did it on the floor. So we put that in and then we'd answer another review question and then I'd hold up 2 to the next kid. Okay, do you want to put gummy bears or mushrooms in our stew? And so sometimes they picked silly ones and sometimes they picked like things that make sense to go in soup, and they laughed a lot and they thought it was funny. So we had a good time. Now you could do it and like divide them up into groups and then they, each make their own soup and then you have to like kind of judge who has the best soup or who has the silliest soup or whatever. But this time we just did it together as a class. I may do it separated in groups when we do it again next semester, but for today we just did it like this and we got through a lot of memory work doing this because it was a really quick activity. And then I would just hold up 2. Okay, do you want salt or jelly in the soup? And anyway, they had a good time with it. So that one was a hit. I would definitely recommend that game. Just takes a little bit of prep work ahead of time, but not a bunch. And then you have it for more weeks to use. Okay, I think that's everything. So it was a really pretty simple week this week, being like our last week and wrapping up and everything. So I hope that you have a wonderful and relaxing winter break. And I'll see you back here with videos like this in January when we start back again with week 13. But I will be posting throughout the holiday break with things like holiday review activities and other things that aren't CC related, other homeschool type things. So check out my videos for that and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.